Hey everybody, Michael Snyder here, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is January 22nd. Right now we are looking at the infrared satellite imagery here, and you can see I've got this set back to yesterday. We can see the development of that low pressure system moving into the Washington, Oregon coast there, bringing some big winds to the coastline. We'll check out some of those speeds here in a moment. And I just wanted to point out that the European nailed this system here well in advance of the other models, so it's nice to have that model at our disposal for sure. And then we're going to take a look at the extended forecast as well, as confidence is increasing that we are going to turn colder here across Pacific Northwest. We'll look at the ensembles and see what they have to say about that and try to work out some probabilities on getting some lowland snow here across Pacific Northwest. Not a sure thing, as is usually the case with these Arctic air intrusions into our region here. So now taking a look here, you can see Cape Disappointment, Fort Stevens State Park. A lot of the areas are got over 60 miles per hour up towards Long Beach as well. Look at this, Abernathy Mountain out there, over 60 miles per hour also. So some pretty good winds with that system rolling in here. You can see Westport, look at that, 68, incredible gusts out there, pretty severe wind. You can see Hoquiam 59, Cosmopolis Hill there out above 50 miles per hour, as well as all the way down through Long Beach, some gusts up towards 60 miles per hour also. And across the Puget Sound, we got 41 in Olympia here too, so we did get some pretty good winds up around 40 miles per hour across some of the southern Puget Sound here yesterday. Now, looking at the European ensemble, did pretty good with that Hoquiam wind out there. You can see a lot of these ensembles did have that bigger gust up towards 59 miles per hour, even though the mean was in the mid to upper 40s there. Seattle-Tacoma had 39, so it did a pretty good job there as well. Astoria, again, a pretty good job here on the European model with this system coming in here. Great to see it. This is looking for South Washington Cascades. Look at Spirit Lake, the winner, 17 inches here as of this morning, 3 a.m. And you can see pretty good totals across some of the other areas, including Sheep Canyon, Swift Creek there. And some of the Northern Oregon Cascades got up for 6 inches as well. And even the North Oregon Coast Range got 3 inches there at Saddle Mountain. So nice little storm system moving through there. You can see Eastern Washington here, Spokane a couple inches out towards Wenatchee as well, and along portions of Highway 2 there. Good graphic there from the National Weather Service Spokane. Now looking here, this is the next system coming in here. It's fairly weak, but you can see we kind of get some northwest flow going on here. It's going to continue some snowfall, mainly across BC, the North Washington Cascades, out through some of the higher terrain of Montana here as we go on out through Tuesday and Wednesday as well. And then we're going to get a bit of a break here before we start to bring some colder air down on the north. More on that here in a moment. But now we're looking at the 24-hour snow totals here. So as we put this into motion, you can see a few inches for the North Cascades, maybe down towards Snoqualmie Pass, an inch or so as we go on through Tuesday night into Wednesday morning here. This is last night's European that goes out 90 hours there. This is 24-hour precipitation, so that system passes through. Then we get the next one. You can see it's not really a big precipitation maker for the Seattle Metro here, but just north, higher amounts up towards Arlington, maybe out towards Camino Island there, maybe just north of Everett, Marysville as well. But not a big deal, the system rolling through here. Now you can see yesterday that system did spawn some big waves. You probably saw it in the video out there towards Westport, those big wind and waves out there, crashing waves over the seawall out there at Westport. So if we put this into motion, you can see we kind of get some ebb and flow there, some break and some additional swell moving on in through early and midweek coming up here, all the way down through California as well. But nothing too crazy, nothing like yesterday rolling through anytime soon yet. So now we're taking a look at the extended forecast. Here is the European ensemble control run here. This is what everybody wants to know about here. What's coming up here as we go on towards the end of next week? Well, first of all, there goes the system we just dealt with here. Very weak system moving over the top of this ridge across the Pacific Northwest there, as I showed a little bit earlier here. And this ridge strengthens and then retrogrades here. We start to get these polar lobes in this north flow starting to flirt with the Pacific Northwest there, and additional lobes rounding this high pressure system, this ridge out over the Aleutians here in the Gulf of Alaska, continuing to allow some north and even some northeasterly flow here across the region as we go. And then it looks like we remain active here as we go through the extended as well. It's going to be very interesting to see how much cold air we get down to the region and how these storms develop off the Pacific Ocean here. Something very exciting to watch here coming up during the next week or so. Now taking a look at the GFS. Let's see what it has in common with the European. This GFS is hot off the presses here. This is a 12Z, the 4 a.m. run, the newest one. Ridge builds, retrogrades back over the Gulf of Alaska. Lobes start to pinwheel down back across the Pacific Northwest, shown here on the GFS. And you can continue to see this north flow across the area here with some potential development over the Pacific Ocean here. This would be impacting the Pacific Northwest, potentially California as well. It looks like we remain active here on the GFS also, but you can see the discrepancy between that and the European that I just showed. Now looking here, this is the European at 850 millibars, 5,000 feet. This is temperature anomaly. You can see the ridge with the warm air associated with it for now. Then it backs up here, and look, as we go on in towards next Friday, we start to bring that north flow and some much colder air down across BC here, but you notice the trajectory is a little bit weird here as it comes mostly offshore. It's better if it comes a little bit further down off the north here and interacts with the Pacific Ocean a little bit better here. So it's kind of an interesting scenario, but then it looks like maybe a deeper low setting up shop here off the California-Oregon border there. But as for the most part, we remain pretty cold here as we go on in through the 10-day period here. As you can see, some very cold air over western portions of North America and out over the Pacific Ocean. Now, this is the Canadian 850 millibars, same app as I just showed you with the European here. This is hot off the presses as well. In fact, let's update this because it's going to have some more information in it there for us. And now we'll go up to about hour 99. The ridge is building here. It starts to retrograde. There comes the north flow, and you can see that cold air try to set up here. A lot of this is going east of the Rockies, so this is another fail pattern here for Pacific Northwest snow lovers. If this stays a little bit further east, we don't get that same amount of cold air over the region here. But there's additional north flow coming on the backside of that. And just look at this at 240 hours out. The entire western portion of the U.S. just kind of locked in this Arctic air mass here. So some pretty exciting times here coming up to see how this Arctic air is going to interact with us here. As you know, we have a natural barrier here in the Rocky Mountains here. So when you get this flow, it's very difficult to bring it out into BC and back into western Washington. It's better if it sets up over BC here for snow lovers, but there's still that chance that it could happen. We're going to get additional rounds here as we go on towards the end of January into early February here. But it looks like a lot of the USA could be dealing with some Arctic air here as we move in towards early February. Now, this is looking at the GFS here, the hot off the presses, same thing, 850 millibars, 5,000 feet. There goes that ridge there. North flow starts, and you can see it brings a pretty good shot of cold air into British Columbia there. This would be a little bit more favorable probably here, but you can see that Arctic air spilling down across the plains here as well. So, yeah, the cold air confidence is high moving down across some of Western North America here. How will it interact with us? We're just not quite sure yet. I'll show the ensembles here right now. You can see Seattle, Tacoma. You can see there are some bigger snowfall amounts. I don't care what you say, 2+ inches at SeaTac is a big deal for Seattle. So you guys know what can happen even with an inch of snow. So you can see several bigger snowfall amounts in here as we go on in through later January, mainly early February shown here. But you can see a lot of these ensembles don't have any snowfall, some of them lighter amounts here. So you can see there's no slam dunk coming here as far as snowfall here across Pacific Northwest. We have to watch this and check out these trajectories on a day-by-day basis here and try to improve our confidence of what's coming. But look at Portland. You can see some pretty big snowfall amounts in here. I mean, look, some of these are over 6-7 inches, but there's plenty of ensemble members that don't have anything here. So you got to take that into account there, right? And you can see the mean and the control are generally just down around an inch here too. But again, an inch can be a big deal in some scenarios, especially if you're below freezing here. So you can see what we're dealing with right now. And a weatherman's job is to try to express this forecast in terms of probability, and is this going to happen or not? It's tough to say here, and that's the tough part about being a meteorologist. You have to be able to express this probability in some kind of usable format to the general public. This is Vancouver International Airport here. You can see that, again, the same thing. Big hit and miss here. Some bigger snowfall amounts here. And this is in centimeters. I may have said inches the other day, but Vancouver and Canadian sites do use centimeters. 2.5 centimeters equals 1 inch. So you can see 10 would be 4 inches of snowfall. But you can see kind of the hit and miss thing going on here across southwest BC as well. Shows the uncertainty of this Arctic air mass. This is from Medford, and check it out. With some of the track of that cold air coming off and that cyclogenesis developing off that coast of Oregon here, it could bring some moisture back up over a colder air mass here, even down for places towards Medford, Oregon. Even the Oregon coast could get snowfall out of this as well. We still are in an area of higher uncertainty at this point, but you can see some of these big amounts showing up here. These are actually inches here, but again, a lot of ensembles with very little or nothing at all right now. This is Brookings, Oregon. I just wanted to show you this. There is that potential even for some snowfall all the way down the Oregon coast there as well, but again, a lot of ensemble members have nothing. This is Pendleton Airport there. Lighter amounts generally, but a little bit better consensus here. You're looking at colder air over there east of the Cascades as well. And you can see some of this control run action here showing a couple rounds of snowfall are fairly likely here east of the Cascades, Pendleton, Oregon shown there. This is for Boise as well, kind of a similar pattern there. Now looking at the Canadian here, clear signal here that we're going to be building that ridging here. When we go into negative territory, that ridging is going to be off over the Gulf of Alaska, allowing that north flow across the area here. We might not look at this anymore because the confidence is increasing in the cold air signal, and we just don't really need the Pacific North American oscillation to be shown anymore. But I just want to show you here one more time, the European again showing it as well. Now this is looking off into the future as well. You can see fantasy windstorm hunt for Quileute, Washington, kind of on the northwest coastline there. You can see some bigger wind speeds coming in here. If the trajectory comes off the coastline enough, you can actually spawn windstorms and warmer southwest flow here across the region. So there's going to be some potential for some systems here moving across the region also, not just snowstorms. Now, if you're east of the Cascades too, I saw that they put this out, weather.gov, a nice graphic here as far as thin ice. You can see the thickness of the ice versus what you can drive upon it there. So I just thought I'd share that with you too. I saw this on Twitter today. That's from weather.gov. But yeah, anyway, interesting signal coming up here, folks. That cold Arctic air here, the confidence is increasing for it, and there is increasing confidence for that spilling down into central portions of the country as well. It looks like there's going to be multiple rounds of it, and there's going to be big model differences as we get closer to the event as well. So we'll do this again tomorrow, and we'll check things out. Pretty exciting looking forecast coming up here. If nothing else, we should remain active there. But anyway, nice storm system yesterday, weak system moving across, a little bit of ridge building, and then we'll start to bring that cold air into the region towards the end of next week, and we'll continue to watch that day by day. So anyway, click like, subscribe, turn your notifications on, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.